All right, so in this third graphing problem, we have a different center other than the origin. So the first thing we want to do is identify our center, then go through, find our A, B, and C, and try to make our graph, okay? So the reason I know that the center is not the origin is because there's addition and subtraction involved with the x and the y squared, okay? So the center is shifted. So because it's x minus 2, that means I'm shifting to the right 2 units, okay? So that means I'm at positive 2 for x, okay? And because it's y plus 3, we need to go in the opposite direction. So instead of going up 3, we're going down 3 to negative 3. So the center is just whatever these two values are, but with the opposite sign of what you see, because it should say x minus h and y minus k. So it's always the opposite sign of what you see in the function, okay? So there's our center. Our center is going to be at the point 2, negative 3. Next, we want to identify our A value, our B value, and our C value, okay? The bigger number here is the 16, so this is our A squared, so that means A is equal to 4, and because A is underneath the x part of the function, we're going to have a horizontal major axis, like we did in example number 2, okay? The B value comes from right here, okay? So 4 is equal to B squared, so B is equal to positive 2. And now we can do our C squared equals A squared minus B squared to figure out the value of C to identify where our focus points are going to be, our foci, all right? So we're going to have 16 minus 4 here, so C squared is equal to 12. So C equals the square root of 12, which we can reduce that down because this is the square root of 4 times the square root of 3. This is 2 square root of 3. So that's the exact value of it. But we're going to need the decimal version in order to make this graph. So I want to know what's the square root of 12, and that is approximately 3.5. Okay, so this is approximately 3.5. Really comes out to about 3.464, but we can approximate that to 3.5. But the exact value of C is 2 square root of 3, okay? So now we're not going to have all of our vertices along the axes themselves. We're going to kind of create our own axes, all right? So in order to do this, what I want to do is first plot my center, which is at 2, negative 3, okay? Now here's what I recommend you do to help you along with this, especially if you don't have graph paper. Draw yourself a little dashed line going across. Oops. Maybe actually make it dashed, unlike me. All right, and then also draw a dashed line going up through the middle so that it corresponds to the x and y values from your center. And in doing so, creating those little lines gives you a guideline as far as where your major and minor axes are going to fall. It makes it just a little bit easier on yourself. But again, if you have graph paper, this isn't really necessary, but if you're doing it just on regular paper, this will be very helpful, okay? So we have a horizontal major axis, so from here we need to go side to side, a total of 4 units to get to our vertices. So I need to go from here over 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? So that coordinate point is negative 2, negative 3, okay? And then this one I need to go right for, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And that coordinate point, let's see, 4 over from 2 is 6, comma, negative 3. So there are the 2 vertices, and in any graph that you draw, you should be able to identify the coordinate points for your vertices, okay? The minor axis is vertical, and it's 2 units long, so from here I need to go up 2 units, and down 2 units. Okay, so those coordinate points, this is at 2, comma, negative 5, and this one is at 2, comma, negative 1. All right, and the only other thing I need are now my focus points, and usually I draw those before I do the minor axis. I did it a little out of order this time. So I need to go about 3.5 units over in either direction. So I need to go 1, 2, 3.5, and then 1, 2, 3.5. So again, because this is a narrower ellipse, these focus points are very close to the vertices. All right, and those coordinate points are a little bit trickier to write because of the radical. So I'm going to write those in a minute. I'm going to draw my ellipse first, and then I'm going to go back and identify what those points are. Okay. All right, so there's my ellipse. Now let's go back and identify where those focus points are, because that's an important thing for us to be able to identify. All right, so the foci, or the focus points, okay, I had to go this way a total of the square root of 12, or 2 square root 3 units. And I had to go this way a total of 2 square root 3 units. And I'm starting at x equals 2 right here. So I'm starting at 2 and I'm going left this much to get to this point. So the point on the left is 2 minus the 2 square root 3 distance. The y value for this axis was -3 throughout. Okay. And then for the other one, I'm starting at 2, I'm going right 2 square root of 3. So I'm doing 2 plus 2 square root 3. And again, the y value stays consistently at -3. All right, so there are the foci for that particular ellipse.